I've always been fascinated by the diverse and complex dietary habits of elk and what it takes for them to survive each year in harsh conditions. In this video, we're going to break down and discuss what their diet consists of to not only help you understand their needs a little better, but also to help you find more elk. Hey there, I'm Michael Batiste from the Elk Calling Academy. And on this channel, we do elk call reviews, gear reviews, elk calling lessons, tips, and tutorials a lot like this one. So if you're new to the channel or are enjoying the content, make sure that you subscribe and be sure to hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss out on future videos. So elk are herbivores, which means they primarily feed on plants and graze on a variety of grasses, herbs, and other green vegetation. And their diet does vary depending on the season and, of course, the availability of different plant species within their area. Now, elk are ruminants, which means they have multi-chambered stomachs, which allow them to digest tougher materials like bark, twigs, and, of course, their favorite grasses. Now, elk primarily feed during the nighttime hours, and during the day, while bedded down, they regurgitate that food and chew the cud before swallowing it again as part of the digestive process. But once they've emptied their stomach chambers, they will get back up and feed again during the day. It usually takes about 3.5 to 4 hours for an elk to completely empty its stomach chambers, which is the reason you will find elk up grazing during the middle of the day. Elk do eat an average of 3 pounds of food per day for every 100 pounds of body weight. So if you think about it, a bull elk weighing around 800 pounds would need to eat about 24 pounds each day just to survive. So what do elk actually eat? Elk certainly do have their favorite foods, but it's important to note that their diet can also vary depending on the specific habitat which they live in. For example, elk living in forests may have access to greater variety of tree species and other woody plants, while those living in the grasslands and meadows may have a diet that's primarily composed mostly of grasses and forbs. But what's their favorite? Based solely on the amount of consumption, it would be safe to say that grasses are their favorites, with clover ranking at the top of that list. Now, some of their other top favorites include sticky geranium, streambank globe mallow, Rocky Mountain iris, mountain bluebells, and pokeweed fleeceflower. Some of the most common foods that elk eat are you've got grasses such as bluegrass, wheatgrass, fescue, timothy grass, dandelions, willow, elk thistle, violets. They will also eat soft branches like birch twigs, willow twigs, aspen twigs, or rowan twigs. They will also graze on heather, lichens, and of course acorns if they're available in that area. Now, not all of these are available in all areas, so you need to do some research to find out which of these are prominent in your hunt area, along with the time of year they are most abundant. This is going to help you find elk more easily and help you with understanding their patterns, which will result in more encounters during your hunting or scouting trips. In the spring and summer months, elk graze on a variety of grasses, herbs, and other green vegetation, but they have a particular fondness for young, tender shoots and leaves, which are high in nutrients and easily to digest, and these pop up right after the snow melts. The nutrients in these young, tender shoots are also vital to help the cows with producing milk for the newborn calves, and of course, give the nutrients to the bulls that have started their antler growth. Now, spring also brings an influx of budding woody plants such as aspens, cottonwoods, and willows that are all loaded with protein. Now, during the fall, elk shift their diet to include a greater variety of forbs and shrubs like wax currants, chokecherry, or common junipers because many of those grasses they were grazing on and other grass type plants die back or become less palatable as the weather becomes cooler and drier. Now, elk will also consume a variety of fruits and berries, such as apples, pears, blackberries during this time of year, if they are available in that area. Now, there are certain plants like Oregon cherry, prairie sageworts, and alpine forget-me-nots that react to that first hard frost with a blast of sugar that elk will actually seek out to help them put on even more fat for the upcoming winter. In the winter, elk are forced to rely more on brown grasses and woody plants as their primary source of food, and this includes twigs, bark, and conifer needles. Now, these types of plants are lower in nutrients and more difficult for them to digest, but they do provide a necessary source of energy and nutrients for the elk during the colder months when other food sources simply are scarce. Now, elk will seek out other sources of nutrition like salt licks or agricultural crops if those are available in the areas that they live. Now, the salt licks can be either natural or man provided, with many of the mountain areas in the West having cattle grazing up high during the summer months. And ranchers will actually go out and scatter salt blocks to help the cattle get more nutrients, but elk will certainly take advantage of those when they can. Now, it is illegal to hunt over these salt blocks in several states, so you need to be sure and check your local regulations to make sure you're within the limits of the law. Overall, the diet of the elk is really varied and adaptable, which allows them to survive and thrive in a variety of different environments. Understanding the dietary habits of elk is crucial in helping you locate them, which actually will lead you to more encounters and, of course, more success. If you want to dive deeper into understanding elk behavior, their vocalizations, and how to hunt them, there is a link in the description below that will take you over to our e-course where we have a lot more tutorial videos and articles, and we also do a live Q&A session every 2 weeks where we answer your questions on different topics. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that it has given you a greater appreciation for the complexity of their nutritional needs and has given you some direction on where to look in your area based on the time of year you're heading out. As always, keep calling, keep practicing, but more importantly, have fun. And we'll see you on the next video brought to you by Elk Calling Academy.